Good afternoon to doctor and everyone. My name is Chan Shinyi. My metric number is 286416. I'm from Group 5. Our group task is to discuss the origin of the neoclassical schools and state three extensions of economic analysis by that school as compared to earlier classicals and marginalist school. Explain also how Alfred Marshall from neoclassical school combined the idea of Adam Smith from the classical school and William Stanley Jevons from marginalist school to further explain the theory of value, market price of the goods and services. All this is included in chapter 5, 13, and 14. Let us look at the first part, the origin and extension. The microeconomics theories evolved from the marginalists. Neo refers to new. Neoclassicism implies an original form of classism. The non-classical economists were marginalists in the crucial sense that they emphasized decision-making and price determinations at the margin. Non-classical school is unique compared to another school of economics thought discussed earlier because they did not have five major questions. They draw on the idea of their predecessors, classical and marginalists, and develop them further. Next, there are three extensions of economics analysis by the non-classical school as compared to the classicals and marginalist schools. The three extensions include value theory, monetary economics, and imperfect competitions market. The determinations of market price from aspect classical is supply. Marginalist is demand and non-classical is demand and supply. Extension can be monetary economics will be explained through the interest in the role of the money in the economy, which is from Wicksell and Fisher. The third extension is explained through the imperfect competitions market. These extensions focus on the marginal analysis of the market structures other than pure competitions, monopoly, and duopoly. These are the main focuses of this assignment. First, we will discuss the biography and contributions of Alfred Marshall in developing the ideas of neoclassical school. The second focus is comparing the views of Adam Smith, classical school, William Stanley Jevons, marginalist school, and Alfred Marshall, neoclassical schools, on the theory of the value, market price of goods and services. We also could like to know how these economists responded to the following questions. For example, do pearls have value because people die for them? Or do people die for pearls because pearls have value?
Hi, my name is Ivesi and my metric number is 285003. I'll continue our presentation about biography and contribution of Alfred Marshall. Let us see. In the biography, Alfred Marshall was a greater figure in the neoclassical school. He was a son of a cashier in the Bank of England. His father overworked him at study, made him promise never play chess because it was wasting times. In the young, Marshall rejected a scholarship and offers instant attendance Cambridge, and he has divided himself in maths, physics, and economy. Lastly, Marshall's father was too poor to pay for his school tuition, so he was acted by his uncle. Next, we will say about his writings. Firstly, Marshall's major ideas were worked out a decade or more before the release of Principles of Economy in 1819. Secondly is Marshall criticizes Jevons for rushing into Prince before he was ready. We go to the next is illness. Illness got divided by two, which is hypothyroidism. They is very concerned about his health, and the second one is hypercritical about his writing. Let us go to the contribution. The firstly, Marshall was a great synthesizer comparing the best of classical economy with marginalist idea. The second one is Marshall defined economy as a study of mankind's in the ordinary business of life. It examines that parts of individuals and social actions which is most closely connected with the attainments and with the use of the material requisites of well-being. So next, we continue with our contributions. According to Marshall, economy like other scientific, which is collect, arrange, interpret, and tries inference from facts, and see knowledge of the interdependence of economy, phenomena of cause and effects relationships. Secondly, is measure and other who developed microeconomy approach said little about business cycle. It was left to later aggregate economy, which is microeconomics, to grapple which we such problems. So the lastly, according to measure, economy is not a body of contract truth, but renders an engine for the discovery of contract truth. Economic law are social law that relates to human conduct in which the strength of the measure motive can be mentioned by financial price. So next slide is about the writing of affirmations. He was already brought up at the two publications in 50 years. So for this slide is about voluntary, which is Aidan Smith from classical school, Valence Taylor's journal from marginal school, and Alfred Marshall from new classical school. So that's all for me. Thank you.
My name is Wang Xinting. My matrix number is 284894. I will present about the classical school Adam Smith. Diamond water paradox. Water is cheap while diamonds are expensive. It is a paradox. Why are diamonds worth so much more than water? Water is more useful in terms of survival than diamonds, yet diamonds command an order of magnitude of a highest price in the market. Water is the most valuable when it is used, VIU. Diamonds are most valuable when they are traded, VIE. Adam Smith could not solve this diamond-water paradox. He focused his analysis on exchange value, VIE, and comparing the labor theory of value in primitive and advanced societies. Labor theory of value. First, in primitive society, Smith argued that in a society in which labor was the only resources, the relative values of a good would be determined by the amount of labor necessary to produce it. Value of goods equals amount of labor. Values of any commodity to a person who possesses it if he wishes to exchange it for other commodities is equals to the quantity of labor which it enables him to purchase or command. Labor cost equals the labor command. Use Smith deer beaver example. Suppose that it takes 2 hours to trap a beaver and 1 hour to hunt and shoot a deer. What is the value in exchange of the beaver? Answer is 2 deer or 2 hours of labor. A person could either exchange the beaver for 2 deers because each deer requires only 1 hour of labor to harvest. This is labor cost. Or could use the beaver to command 2 hours of labor service, labor command. Second, in advanced society, Smith realized that the growth of capital would invalidate a simple labor cost theory of value. Demand, according to Smith, does not influence the value of the commodities, the cost of productions, wages, rent, and profit are the only determinant of value is in the long run. Competitions will drive prices down to costs, including a normal profit. Any increase in demand will not increase value because the cost of producing each unit of the commodities remain unchanged. Profit will depend on the whole value of capital advanced by the employer. The real value of the commodities can no longer be measured by the labor constraint in them. They will, however, can be measured by the quantities of labor which they can each of them purchase of common. The quantity of labors that a commodity can buy exceeds the quantity of the labors embodied in its production by the total profit and rent. Labor cost less than labor common. In summary, Adam Smith, Classical Economics, emphasizes supply costs of productions as the significant determinants of exchange value price. Adam Smith have an opinion of the value of pure. Do pure have value because people need to die for them? Or do people die for peers because peers have value? According to Adam Smith, peers have value because people need to die for them. Cost of production determines a good exchange value price. Thank you. Now I pass to the next presenter.
My name is Chin, matrix number 285577. I will present about marginalist school, William Stanley Jevons. Jevons on value theory. Jevons in his value theory solved the diamond water paradox by explaining the concept of first, total utility (TU), total satisfaction a person receives from consuming a particular quantity of a good. Second, marginal utility (MU), additional utility a person receives from consuming an additional unit of a particular good. Third, law of diminishing marginal utility. MU gained by consuming equal successive units of a good will decline as the amount consumed increases. Diamond water paradox resolved. TU of water is high because water is very useful in many aspects and essential for living. TU of diamonds is low because diamonds are less useful and non-essential. But why the price of diamond is higher than price of water if TU of water is more higher? This because price does not reflect total utility but marginal utility. MU of water is lower than MU of diamonds. MU of water is low because water is so plentiful. MU of diamonds is high because diamonds are scarce. As a result, the next additional unit of water gives us less utility, lower MU than the next unit of diamonds. People would rather have an additional diamond than an additional unit of water given large stock of water. In summary, according to Jevons' marginalist school, demand utility is the significant determinant of price. According to Jevons, cost of production determines supply, supply determines final degree of utility, final degree of utility determines value. Jevons' opinion on the value of peer. Do peers have value because people need to die for them, or do people die for peers because peers have value? According to Jevons' marginalist school, people die for peers because peers have value. Buyers get utility from them. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
My warmest greetings to everyone. I am Arthini Prasad with metric number 284971. Today I would like to explain about the idea of Alfred Marshall from neoclassical school. Marshall combined the both classical and marginalist idea and made neoclassical. He stressed both demand and supply in determining the market prices of goods, services, and resources. The implication of Marshall's approach and definition are interesting, which is the relationship among supply, demand, and price tend to produce certain results if they are allowed to work by themselves, but society can influence the outcome if it so desires. In this issue, Marshall also introduced the term called marginal utility. According to Marshall, demand is based on the law diminishing marginal utility. The marginal utility of commodity to anyone diminishes with every increase in the amount of it he already has. Here, Marshall introduced two important qualifications at this point. The first thing is he was concerned with the movement in time, which is too short to consider any changes in character and taste of a particular person. The second one is the law of diminishing concerns consumer goods that are invisible. The utility approach of the Marshallian system dealt with pleasures and pains, desires and aspiration and incentive to action. Here is an example to show how to measure utility that intangible. In the term of rational consumer choice, in a money economy, Marshall said that each line of expenditure will be pushed to the point at which marginal utility of dollars worth of goods will be the same as in other direction of spending. Besides that, each person will attain this result by constantly watching to see whether there is anything on which he is spending so much that he would gain by taking a little way from the line of expenditure and putting it some other line. Here he can balance his usage of money or how he's spending to buy a money or service. Marshall successfully tied the acute marginal rule directly to the contemporary law of demand. Here, Marshall helped the consumers to observe their way of spending and how much they are spending on buying a thing or service they want to use or their need according to their need. According to the law of demand, Marshall had a conception of difference between the changes in quantity demanded and the changes in demand. He formulated the theory of demand by assuming that the purchasing power of money constant. There will be two effects. First of all, substitution effect, and second one is income effects. We should clearly understand that when the price of any product increases, when its demand will fall, and when its price decreases, when its demand will increase in the market. Besides that, we should also take note about the elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is a measurement of the change in the consumption of a product in relation to change in its price. Here is the formula to calculate the elasticity of demand. The percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Here you can get the elasticity of demand. Here you can see the five types of price elasticity of demand. For the supply part, Marshall divided time into three periods: immediate, present, short run, and long run. The immediate present time frame is too short. Quantity supplied cannot be increased in response to a suddenly increase in demand and cannot decrease immediately in response to a decline in demand because it takes time to be reduced. The market supply curve is perfectly inelastic in this period. The second one is short run. In short run, variable inputs can be increased or decreased, but fixed costs cannot be changed. The cost divided into two types. The first one is supplementary cost, which is fixed cost that cannot be changed in whatever level of production. For example, executive salaries and plant depreciation. The second one is prime cost, which is variable cost that can be changed directly followed by the production. Example, labor and raw materials. In the short run, supply curve is based on variable cost. For long run, all costs are variable and they must all be covered if the firm is to continue business. The increase in price can cause their exits TC of production. For new firms that enter in market, if the price falls below average cost, capital will be reduced and probably the firms will exit the industry. Here, the supply is seen in terms of finance and subjective cost, and the demand based on the utility and diminishing marginal utility. Here is a graph representation which is shows the consumer surplus and producer surplus. Here is the summary of the thought of Marshall in the neoclassical school. The conclusion of the topic is Adam Smith from classical economics emphasized supply as the significant determinant of exchange value. Jevons from marginalist school emphasized the demand as the significant determinant of price. And lastly, the Alfred Marshall from neoclassical school combined this both and emphasized both demand and supply as the significant determinant of price. That's all. Thank you.